Want to know what's actually working for growth right now? Well, Raj Singh, VP of Product at Mozilla and a repeat founder with multiple successful exits, joins Profit with a Plan today to share proven growth tactics every entrepreneur should know. From the future of growth in a vibe coded world of programmatic TikTok campaigns and historical growth stories that still matter today, you'll walk away with actionable insights to fuel your business. So, if you're curious about how Gen AI is changing the product growth and what hacks are actually working for small businesses today, this episode is packed with practical strategies. So don't miss it. Tune in to Profit with a Plan and discover the same playbook that has driven Raj's startups from zero to acquisition. Hey, entrepreneurs, are you working too hard for too little profit? Well, welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast, where we help you scale smarter, increase profitability, and build a business that's worth more, whether you keep it or sell it. I'm Marcia Riner, business growth strategist and the profit booster behind Infinite Profit. I've helped countless entrepreneurs to turn their businesses into highly profitable and sale ready assets so they enjoy more income now and a bigger payday later. So join me for practical strategies, expert insights, and proven steps to make your business more profitable, more valuable, and built to last. By the way, today's episode is sponsored by Infinite Profit, where we don't just talk profit, we deliver it. But before we dive in, I've got something special for you. If you're tired of flat revenue or marketing that just doesn't pay off, the new Profit Booster Growth Map might be for you. In just a few minutes, it'll show you exactly how to bring in more qualified clients and plug the profit leaks that are eating away at your cash. Get your growth map now at profitbooster.biz and start turning missed revenues into real money. All right, let's jump into today's episode. Raj Singh is the VP of product at Mozilla. He's also a VIP, where he leads the new 0 to 1 product for small businesses. He joined Mozilla in 2022 through the acquisition of his startup Pulse, which built AI meeting summarization models. A repeat founder, Raj was the co-founder and CEO of Tempo AI, a smart calendar Salesforce, and co-founded the All the Cooks, the largest recipe community for Android, before it was acquired by CookPad. He also served as the VP of Business Development at Skyfire and a mobile browser acquired by Opera. And he has launched and exited several startups in consumer tech. Wow, quite a resume there.
Thank
He
you.
regularly writes about AI, product management, and growth, and is based in the Bay Area with a degree in computer engineering from Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo. Welcome, Raj. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast.
Thank you, Marcia. Looking forward to conversation.
Yeah, so great. I mean, AI seems like, for a lot of us people out there that it just happened like in 2021, right? We're all wrong with that. We know AI has been around since, filling in the 80s with all the great stuff that it did. But what was really attractive for you to get into that space?
I've been doing, I guess, some form of AI things for a long time. So people think of AI, they think of maybe the last 2 years, and there's always this has been with every sector, whether it's mobile or whether it's like location or whether it's, um, you know, uh, uh, cloud, SaaS, on demand, etc. It's like, is this the year of AI? Is this the year of mobile, right? It's something people used to always ask. I remember when mobile first came out, is this the year of mobile? Uh,
Right. I remember the brick phone. So, okay, I'm
sure.
dating myself, but yeah.
Yeah. And, I was trying to do computer vision photo categorization in 2004, 2003 timeframe, which obviously is now like standard experience, iPhone and Google Cloud, etc. But we didn't necessarily call it AI. We called it computer vision, right? And if you're doing AI in like 2000 timeframe, it was probably very rules based. You'd probably call it like heuristics or rules engine or something like that. You didn't call it AI, right? Later in 2009, 2010, I was doing semantic analysis type work. Again, we didn't really call it AI. We called it named entity recognition. We called it semantic analysis. So it is kind of interesting how that has sort of taken its own language. Um, uh, I guess my approach has always been build stuff that I need to fix for myself, and then
Fix your
figure
own
out what,
problems.
yeah, and then figure out what was the best tech to make it work. And sometimes that's using AI or not. Now, obviously, the hot word is AI. For what it's worth, I was actually the first .ai domain in 2011, and I have a great story about that 2010 timeframe where I had to literally call the Anguilla Islands because they didn't allow third-party domain registrations for .ai, and they
Oh,
set
how
up
funny.
a DNS server to enable this for me in a room in a library. And now
Get out of
obviously it's
here.
become like part of their industry, like because .ai is just such a big domain registrar.
Wow, that's funny. Yeah, it does make sense. .com is US, you got .co, and then you've got, AUS. I mean, you've got all the countries that base their domain registrations, but I didn't even think of AI being an island.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's
Are
funny.
they making money off of it?
At that time, you could only have there was only government sites with Anguilla.ai domains because nobody. I mean, oh, well, I shouldn't say nobody visits Anguilla Islands. It's just it's a small country or small region. I'm not sure. I'm not. Don't quote me on that. And so in any case, I remember calling them, spending a bunch of time on the phone, and then they set this up. It took like a week, and then all of a sudden we had the first .ai domain, and then it sort of was very low popularity at the time. I mean, I probably should have done a lot more domain squatting. But it
Right?
really took off like 2014, 2015 timeframe.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Okay, so when we're talking about AI today, I mean, like you mentioned 1,000 times, it's a super hot word right now, and people are using it and in it. But how does it really, I guess the basis of this conversation is really how does it factor into the growth of the company, right? I know that there's so many different areas we can focus on, but where do you think is the most important impact that AI drives?
So I think when you're thinking about growth, historically, like if you think of a growth team, right? So you build a product, organizations will sometimes create a growth team. This growth team is doing multiple things. They might be doing SEO, they might be doing programmatic content, they might be doing drip campaigns, they might be doing cold email outreach, you name it, right? The whole sort of laundry list of different tactics. Historically, like each of these tactics, whether it's lifecycle marketing, whether it's like inside sales, like AI SDR stuff, or like a programmatic SDR stuff, whether it's content marketing, they were like almost different teams. They'd be like one person would be managing a copywriting team, putting together, looking at people's competitor site maps, drafting content, publishing that onto a blog. Another team would be buying lead lists, qualifying them at some level, doing cold email outreach, designing that sort of drip campaign. I think what's interesting now is the fact that we can do this ourselves. Like a single person in a growth team can use vibe coding and build automation internally where they can almost automate a lot of this. And the scale that's being created now is insane. Whereas previously this may have required multiple people because a lot of it is operations and execution. It's not
Mhm.
actually like core engineering, right? And it's interesting. There's even, growth in many ways became like growth engineering. And then later, now I'm hearing it being titled the GTM engineer as sort of the new job function or job title for the growth kind of function. So
Oh.
I think Gen AI has just become democratized knowledge, but also has like 10x scale. And the thing about vibe coded products is they don't need to be perfect. So they're very well suited, because it's very difficult to do high scale production app, right? They get you 80% of the way there, but that's very well suited for the type of work that's involved for growth.
So let's define that first. So vibe coding. So just so that way.
Yeah, no. So vibe coding, so I'm sure, everyone's probably at this point played with Google Gemini or ChatGPT or something of that nature, right? And if you played with those tools, you type in and describe what you want and then it responds, right? That's a prompt based, they call that a prompt. You ask a question, it replies, and you have a chat discussion. This
Mhm.
this notion of like prompting to have a discussion is effectively a new modality. For many years, people have talked about chat-based interfaces, but they always underperform, right? So we've got the keyboard, we have the mouse, we have the touchscreen, we had voice kind of with Siri, but it was an underperforming experience, right? But now we have chat, right, which actually works really well and it's delightful. right?
It is.
And
I
so,
swear I'm dating Chad. If I had a ring on my hand, it would be because, of my relationship with my with my Chad.
yeah, so the theme here is that modality is called vibe.
Got it.
That's a vibe modality. And what we're seeing across a range of applications, particularly applications where you create content. And when I
Yeah.
mean create content, I don't necessarily mean an article. I mean, you're creating a product design, you're creating a song, you're creating anything, a visual design, a medicine design, whatever. All of these are opportunities to apply a vibe interface on top of that to basically create some, a new modality for creating that sort of content.
I love it. For me, it's so exciting, because I am a super creative in my mind, you're right. And I've always been held back by my ability to only use my own mind, where now I can use the talent of computers and this artificial intelligence to help me fine tune something and really bring it to life, right? In so many different ways, whether, like you said, if it's, visual or audio or in copy or in product form, right? It's no longer just me. It becomes this intelligence that helps me look bigger and better, which
Yeah.
goes back to your team too, because now, like you said, one person can manage this if done well, and they understand the vibe coding. They can really truly take to market something that used to take a whole team.
Exactly. Yeah, no, so vibe coding is basically the notion of using a vibe style interface to create application.
No, this is fantastic. So, when we're looking at, I look at profitability a lot, with my clients, and it's like, okay, we got to make the numbers make sense as well as having the product and the offer and everything else. But knowing this, let's take kind of a negative viewpoint on it from the human capital industry, right? They're fearing that AI is going to take over their jobs, number one, which I don't believe. And I mean, how do we address that in the growth space?
Yeah, so I think the way to think about what's happening is Gen AI has unleashed like human creativity. So everyone has ideas of things that they wanted to build. It could be in any form factor, but they didn't have experts that they could go talk to help them design that. I want to design a car. I want to design, whatever, a toy, a storybook. Gen AI has democratized all this sort of fractional expertise. What we're seeing in organizations now is individuals are just their productivity is being boosted, on the orders of like 2x to 10x, right? Depending on the function. So much of the work that you do, depending on your role, is blocked by certain fractional expertise that you need to speak with. And those fractional expertise, you have them in the organization, but it may require setting up a meeting. It may require communication offline in different hours, whatnot, right? Now you have that at your fingertips, and so you can move faster. And so I really, there's a term for this that I've been parroting. It's not my term. It's called the super IC, the super individual contributor. And the
Ooh, I
notion
like that.
is, we're all sort of becoming ICs, but now we need to become super ICs. And the objective of a super IC is to effectively replace our low leverage work with Gen AI so we can focus on high leverage things, right? We become the conductor or the tastemaker, but not the person who necessarily is doing the operational execution. We're outsourcing that to Gen AI. My perspective on this question regarding, how is this going to impact the labor market? The tech sector in particular, where I work, has always been very hyperbolic. They tend to look in the most extreme scenario. So everybody's going to be replaced, right? I'm not in that bucket at all. The way I look at this is Gen AI is massively boosting productivity, and so companies are going to aspire to be even larger. They're no longer chasing billion-dollar outcomes; they're chasing trillion-dollar outcomes.
Wow.
You start having that sort of perspective, they're going to hire more. Where I would be concerned is not Gen AI replacing humans, it's replacing the humans that aren't using Gen AI in their work.
Exactly. Exactly. You can take this back to, the automotive industry, right? Where they're working on a line and they're building, so you needed to have someone screw in the lug nut, right? Well, now you've got computers that do it, and you need people to manage and watch the computers that do it, right? So if you're not retooling and getting on board with this, then you're going to be left behind. And I think there's always going to be a space for those that actually have to do manual labor and physical stuff or tactical stuff that requires a human touch. But I think that, like you said, this super IC that we're developing is so exciting. For me, it's just lit me up over the past couple years with the creativity that I can do, and I can help my clients that much more, and I can give my clients tools to help them be much more than they were before. So I love it as a growth platform, and I'm glad you didn't take it as a negative piece. But I know that there's a lot of naysayers out there going, you know they're gonna take over our job, right? I think even Tesla just announced that they got a robot that's gonna help you, around the house, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, the AI movie with Will Smith is gonna is coming true.
Yeah, no, I mean, Industrial Revolution, we had a lot of that. There's always the doomers and that sort of perspective, but my opinion has always been consistent here. This is just an accelerant. And so now the question is how we can leverage it to move faster.
Right. Are your podcast guest appearances leading to real business, or are you just hoping that listeners will take action? With the Profit Booster Podcast Monetization Hub, we turn your interviews into lead generating machines so that you capture, nurture, and convert listeners into paying clients. So stop leaving money on the table and get started today at profitboosterpod.com. Right. And with the profitability of it, 2020, businesses were having to not work from their office and work from home. And that kind of environment created the opportunity to cut costs, right? And so if we're looking at this and one person or a smaller committee of people can manage this to grow faster than the largest payroll or the largest expense in our business, which is payroll, just got reduced, right? And I can still compete and deliver on so many new areas. So I love that for it. All right, so let's talk about some fun stuff. You have been in many, many different places, from cooking to creating software to creating all these neat things. Where do you think the new space for Gen AI is heading? Where do you think that like kind of new exciting place is going to be in products?
Yeah, it's been really interesting. I'd say there's two trends that I think are really interesting looking at Gen AI. And most everything I've done has been consumer facing. So I'm always looking at like direct to consumer. Within the world of SaaS and enterprise, there's so much interesting
Sure.
stuff happening around verticals. I think the first is around this whole notion of vibe that we talked about earlier. So imagine every creator experience on the web, every sort of application, whether you're doing an architectural diagram, whether you're doing a design, whether you're designing a landscape, fashion, whatever, now has a vibe modality, right? So that's one area we're seeing a lot of investment. We're also seeing just a number of startups emerging, particularly in very vertical applications, like using Gen AI to do HVAC planning in your house, right? Using Gen AI, used by, specialized contractors, right? So it's not just the vibe modality, it's the vibe modality, but you still have all the other workflows around it. I think the second bucket, for better or for worse, is more of a cultural phenomenon. And I think that's very much around people conversing with people. And so we are seeing a number of applications that are reinforcing a common behavior, which is people are increasingly more comfortable communicating with AI than they might be communicating with real people themselves. And what sort of opportunities does that create? So I'll give you some examples. We're seeing Waymo just grow astronomically, right? I think it's already overtaken Lyft in San Francisco at least, and it's on path to eventually overtake Uber. Why is that? People are paying more for a Waymo than they're paying for an Uber, but there's nobody in there, right?
We have Zooks here in Vegas.
There's that social anxiety around like, oh, there's somebody there, I have to be presentable. Just the fact that there's a physical person there, right? Within the sales arena, Jason Lemkin, who runs SaaStr, on one of his podcasts was literally talking about some of the work they've done with AI chat on their website. And what they found was the people who are engaging with AI chat love it. Why? They can ask all sorts of questions, both the business related questions as well as technical questions, where normally you'd have to go and say, I'd get back to you on that. Two, it's always available. And three, it's very easy to say no. Like you're not worried about hurting someone's feeling, right? And so very sort of interesting seeing that. And you're seeing that also apply in the voice modality, right? Then you're seeing things like character AI, where it's now probably a top 20 visited destination in the world, which is effectively a place where you can communicate with chatbots, and people are building relationships with chatbots, and people are reinventing or maybe that's not the right word. I was going to say revitalizing, but their grandparents. Maybe that's not the right word either, right? But they're effectively having these conversations. Now, I'm not judging, by the way. I'm just sort of calling out a macro cultural trend that I'm seeing.
Sure.
But it's fascinating to see in three different arenas, people increasingly engaging with AI. And then on the flip side, we're also seeing increasing comfort around AI generated content. So you think of Netflix, a lot of that's obviously AI assisted, but human generated sort of content. But
Sure.
you're starting to see content, for example, in TikTok that's purely AI generated. You're seeing Google adapt their algorithm where they used to previously penalize AI generated content. And now they're saying we're penalizing low quality content. So it could be AI
Yeah.
generated, but if it's high quality, it's okay because there's enough human content produced by human content farms overseas purely for trying to play the SEO game. They're actually really low quality. So it's very interesting watching this evolution.
I think that's amazing. There's so many tools. I'm in a community that just brings us tools every other week, Oh, you got to try this, Oh, take this thing here. But the whole idea is how do we you know, clone ourselves, right? In a way that we can do more and be more and be more interesting. And it's really exciting, the hey gens and the companies that can really allow you to duplicate yourself or your voice or something, right? To act as an AI employee. So when someone's trolling your website at 2 in the morning because they're up with that, famous what keeps you awake at night problem, then your AI that you've trained and can answer that and they get immediate questions and you don't lose them, right? The same with the HVAC company, have an opportunity to have AI be cloned as one of them to be able to take the call when they're out servicing a client, right? I mean, these kind of tools for me make complete sense because they're allowing us to be more in more places than we were before. But then again, if you remember the negative side of it, the call tree, right? How many ones and twos and click buttons that we had to call to reach somebody,
Well, yeah, I mean, I think this is where two parts to this. One, I think um, we're definitely seeing, I'm not in the camp that AI is fully replacing. I'm definitely in the camp that AI is there, but humans need to provide taste. Humans still need to provide judgment,
I
sensibility,
like that.
right? All that sort of stuff that's involved in product sense, right? They still need to have conviction. They still need to have a perspective. They still need to have a design sense, right? AI is there giving you feedback and it's helping you accelerate. And in many ways, it's helping you with probably one of the most critical things is it's helping you ask the right questions, right? But you still have to communicate. You still have to gather the herd. You still have to bring consensus. You still have to pull it together. And AI can become your fractional execution partner, but there's still places you're involved, and it will improve. But I do continue to be in the camp that it's going to improve, but under and with an understanding that it's going to be 80-95% of the way there, right? It's not perfect. And so if it's
Yeah,
not perfect, humans need to remain in the loop to the point that they even call it HITL, human in the loop, right? And you're seeing a lot of startups that raised on the back of ChatGPT with promises of fully replacing workflows, revisiting that because they can't get past the last 3 or 4%. And now they're revisiting the overall ROI with a human in the loop. But
right.
even in that model, it's a massive boost to productivity. And a lot of it, frankly, for a lot of people, the issue is not how can I be more productive? They just simply don't know where to start. And this is where I often tell people, write out your day like in 10-minute blocks and then go ask AI, how can you help me with this? Right. And it'll give you ideas of ways that you can become more efficient. Go find peers that do similar functional work to you and ask them how they're using AI because so much of this is discovery. And as
It
you
is.
discover, you have a better sense. But yeah, so I'm definitely not in that camp. But your comment about having your AI concierge answer your calls and capture the lead for you. Interestingly, one of the products we haven't launched that I do manage is that exact product. It's called Penciled. It hasn't launched yet. Part of the suite of products that we're building at Mozilla focused on small business, specifically for service providers. You're a plumber, you're doing work, you get a call, you don't want to lose the lead, talk to my AI assistant.
Sure. Let me answer questions. What do you have? Oh, if it's this, have you turned off the water at the street corner, right? Do you need me tonight? I can be here, let's schedule a call. It's the capabilities if a well-trained AI can really utilize that. And in the space I play in, we talk a lot about that. for so many different things, even if it's just frequently asked questions. But it's the whole idea of people are in, the buyer is in an Amazon space, right? I want it yesterday, I want it free, and I want it on my doorstep, right? And so if I want it like that, then your customer is wanting answers from you like that. And you need to match your customer space. And what better way to do it when it's, 3 in the morning and you should be sleeping?
Well,
Then your
and
AI can answer that.
and there's second order effects that you don't even think about. So for example, my team members have been playing with one of these products internally. Now now the AI receptionist is very effective at putting them on do not call lists. So every
Mm.
time somebody calls trying to sell something, it says, "Hey, so and so is not interested in these kinds of promotions. Can you please remove them from the list?" So his AI has effectively become the unsubscribe button.
I love it. I love it. Well, that gives the consumer the safe space to go quit bugging me, right? I mean, I'm getting tons of calls this last week and a half from random numbers that it's a call center, and I'm like, stop, right? If I can get AI to answer the phone call from me and say, and what do you want to talk to Marcia about today, right? That they can go, nope, she's not interested by click, right? That would be
Yeah,
a really great
for
one.
sure, for sure.
Terrible for us marketers, but great for the consumer to be able to control what's coming into their space, right? Lots of ideas that we can do and train, and that's why it's so darn exciting for me. I just, like I said before, I get all lit up going, yeah, 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 because it's so fun. I don't have the technical experience to write the code, right? Or develop the things that you do, but gosh, I've been able to write some code by just asking GPT, how can you write the code for me, right? To develop this software piece that I wanted to add to my website. And it's been amazing that I don't need to know how to do it now.
And
I
then
just
that's
need
where
to
the
know what
vibe
it is.
modality is really, really unlocking the human potential.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So tell me, besides the idea of where Mozilla's going with the AI employee, what else is Mozilla doing that's interesting?
We're doing a lot of, I mean, we're doing a lot of interesting stuff. Obviously, the browser industry or space has been stagnant for many years. People didn't think of it as a competitive surface. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden, in the last 2, 3 years, with the emergence of ChatGPT and others, everyone's interested in browsers again. So it's been really interesting to watch, and we're like right in the middle of it. My teams in particular, and just given the focus of this podcast around growth, we're doing so many interesting tactics. I don't know if you've heard the term AEO or GEO around
GEO,
answer
yeah.
engine optimization. Yeah, I mean, we now have what we've realized for a while we were trying to figure this out, right? Everyone in the industry is trying to figure this out, like SEO versus GEO. And what we've concluded is they're distinctly different. Like
Very.
SEO is very much about high authority domains. GEO, we call it high authority UGC. So what we're finding is that LLMs are crawling these sites, but they don't really want to surface information from slop. So they don't want to surface information from AI generated content. So they prioritize data sources where it's most likely human authored. And so if you start thinking about that, what places on the internet have the moderation in place that most likely is human authored content? And that's why from a GEO perspective, it's more important to be on Reddit and on Wikipedia than it is to be on CNN and Forbes.
Really? That is completely interesting. I never thought of that. And I didn't think that the AI discriminated against its own content, right? Of sort.
Well, yeah, so AI is not using Google search rankings, right? So if you look at Google search rankings, they're very much based on high authority domains. So if you get inbounds from BBC and
Right.
CBS and
The
Fox and whatever,
backlinks
you're
and
a high
right.
authority domain, right? But in GEO, the backlinks it's looking at are from affiliate sites where the reviews are probably most likely human. It's from
Mm.
review sites. It's from Wikipedia where there's a notability requirement to be listed. It's from Reddit. It's from Quora where it's most likely to be human authored versus AI authored. So it's very interesting seeing
Mm.
that delta.
Interesting. Well, that could be a whole nother conversation of how you tap into those kind of platforms to be able to rank you on AI.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah,
mean,
I mean, on that note, we're doing so many things with different tactics around driving growth. GEO, programmatic TikTok, programmatic blog, AI SDR. A lot of these former tactics that people used to use, as I mentioned at the top of our call, with humans, but now with AI.
mm, I love it. I love it. So yeah, that's always the interesting thing, to what used to be good yesterday is no longer good today. So you've got to constantly evolve with it. And I remember way back when you built a landing page and it was, yes, it took months to build and there it was done, right? And now it has to evolve like almost every other month or every month to be able to stay current with everything that you've got going in.
Oh,
And so the need for people in that space that can create and follow and track with the ideas that are coming at lightning speed that AI is bringing us, I think it's ever more important to align yourself with the right team for sure.
yeah. I mean, I think StatSig was reporting something like when it comes to landing pages, because they're that A/B testing platform. The large companies. So this for a startup, A/B testing is a privileged position because you usually don't have the resources to do that test. It takes time to even get the results, and you have a limited runway, and you don't have enough of an audience where you can
Really
action out a
validated.
cohort, right? Like I only
Yeah.
want to serve this version to 1-2%. But StatSig was saying something like there are large customers that are getting millions of, or almost billions of page views a month or whatnot. They're doing hundreds of homepage A/B tests a day.
Wow. Wow, that's insane, but not to scare the everyday audience, right? The everyday business owner. You don't need have to be in that space. You just have to be aware of it and use some of the tools because visibility is everything, right? Especially in a high-flying market where we're in today. I love the idea that even on any of the search engines now, whether it's Mozilla or the Googles or whatever, that when you type in something, AI is answering. And it's not even going through the ranking that it used to go in, and it's giving you answers or at least something you can check into. But we need to learn how to participate so we can be found and seen by that space. And I think that's the purpose of this conversation. In order to grow, you need to be seen, you need to attract and repel, right? And you need to close and convert and make money on the bottom line. So to do all that, it all starts with the visibility. And if you're not using the AI to have your visibility in your marketing space or use it to manage your team, to make them more productive, then the bottom line is getting hit everywhere. And that's why I love this conversation on growth with you today. So Raj, you've been a wealth of information. Obviously, you've got just tremendous experience in the industry. Where can listeners find out more about you, about Mozilla, about the products that you guys are having in play that would help small business owners?
Yeah, so I'm on X and Threads at Mobile Raj. You can find me there. I'm on LinkedIn as you'd expect. And then I manage new products for small business at Mozilla. So I'm going to shout out Solo, which is an AI website builder. Soloist.ai. That's definitely something they can definitely check out. And then Mozilla, of course, we make Firefox, and we're doing a lot of interesting things, and we're probably um, not probably, we are the most user-centric browsing experience. We're not here to monetize your data, so to speak,
Thank you.
like Google's and whatnot. And so definitely a lot of great innovation happening there. So multiple touch points for myself and Mozilla.
Love it. Love it. Well, as business owners, we need to look and we need to stay ahead of the curve. And when you can find partners like Mozilla that can actually help you grow your business and get the visibility without actually hurting your business at the same time, I think it's a great tool to look into. All right. Thanks so much for listening today. I hope you picked up a few valuable insights and actionable ideas that will help you make your business more profitable. But before we go, if you're ready to bring in more of the right customers and earn more or keep more of what you've earned, go grab a free Profit Booster Growth Map. And it pinpoints the top 3 moves that grow revenue and stop profit leaks fast. Go get it anytime at profitbooster.biz. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss future shows. You can always find Profit with a Plan on any of your favorite podcast platforms. We're looking forward to sharing more profitable strategies with you on next week's show. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thanks so much, Raj.
Thank you, Marcia.